हाँ कोई बात नहीं। अभी कुछ नहीं बोल सकते ना, लास्ट मिनट में बोलना बड़ा मुश्किल है ना। अब तो हाँ सेट कर दी, उस समय बोल भी रहे थे उनको, तो कहते नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है इसे। मैंने तो सोचा ऐसे लगा रहा हूँ ताकि फॉर द टाइम ज़्यादा नहीं होगा तो लगता ही जाए। मैंने वो लगा सबसे बढ़िया प्लेटफॉर्म ज़्यादा बढ़ा दिया उसकी वजह से, बहुत की वजह से बढ़ा ये हट जाए ना तो थोड़ा सा और अच्छा लगेगा। ये ऐसा लगेगा जैसे साथ ही होगा। हाँ बहुत अच्छा। तुम तो निकल जाओ।
चाबी तो सर के पास पड़ी है ना। तो उसको समझा देना कि भाई यहीं रहे हाँ कहना ऊपर बोल रहे हैं हम थोड़ा इधर इंगेज है ना ऊपर का देख रहे हैं फिर हम करते हैं ठीक है।
और उसके लिए बोल
और क्या एक हेलो हेलो
जब फंक्शन
हाँ नीचे तरुण जहाँ जहाँ जजेज है ना वहाँ पे 2 रैकेट चार्जिंग के लिए लगा रहे हैं शायद उनको बोलना कि वो रेडी रखें फिर वहाँ पे रूम प्रेस में थोड़ा
वो सर आप कंप्यूटर के आप वो सर भैया वो जो बीओ सर कंप्यूटर है ना उसके पीछे रखा हुआ है टेबल
थोड़ा ज़्यादा मत करना
अभी थोड़ी देर बाद 15-20 मिनट हल्का करना ज़्यादा अभिषेक से बोल देना अभिषेक करवा देना हल्का करना रैकेट अभी लगे रहने दीजिए जब ये यहाँ का फंक्शन खत्म होगा ना तो उसके 10 मिनट पहले हाँ ठीक आप बोल के चले जाइए
डलवा देंगे तो डलवा देंगे
पता चला वो पहचानता है इससे पहले भी 2 बार
गाड़ी नंबर
उसे काम बोलो काम नहीं सुनता है
जबरदस्ती भेज देते हैं सरकारी इंडिया गेट के
आती होगी ना यहाँ पे कि हाँ जी अभी खाली है जो इसीलिए भी नहीं मतलब कौन सा रोज रात को आता है
तो हमने वो कम करा दिया
ऑयल भी एक लगे ना जो डीजल वाले जो डॉक्टर 2 रोज तक जगह चाहिए जो होता है।
ऐसा कोई नियम नहीं है।
वो तो हमने रखना पड़ेगा ना।
जैसे उसका कहीं फ्लाइट नहीं मिलेगी उसको 2 रहने को कहीं गलत जगह पर
अपने आप ही हो जाते हैं, वैसे नहीं क्योंकि मार्क इतने करना पड़ते हैं ना तो रह जाएंगे तो फिर अच्छा नहीं लगता ना। छोड़ो ना जान साहब, आप इतनी बड़ी तोड़ हो यहाँ की सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया की कुछ नहीं जान साहब थोड़े पैगाम हम सारी परमिशन लेते हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया नहीं देता नहीं कर रखी नहीं एडमिन जी को नहीं हमने गाड़ी नंबर भेजते हैं और अभी से बात हुई थी कहते हम गाड़ी की देते हैं। अब वो अगली बार तो पूरा प्रॉपर लिखूँगा, चिंता नहीं होगा। क्या तारीख को है ना? अरे छोड़ो ना छोड़ो ना, फिर हम यूट्यूब भी साथ लेके चलते हैं।
हमारा जब ऑफिस उनके बाई
नहीं भी भेजी है मैंने स्विच ऑफ करके फ़ोन काफ़ी दिनों में आपको दिखा था, पूरा नाम लिखे हुए मनोज का नाम है, राहुल का नाम है और बोले क्यों नहीं किया पता नहीं क्यों नहीं कहते हैं। इनके डिपार्टमेंट में तो 36 डिपार्टमेंट है एक साथ। मैं वो
कर देते हैं रात को मेरे पास आते हैं आप रहेंगे आपकी दुकान नहीं है आना भी जरूरी है।
उसको यहीं पर रहेगी, यहीं से वो निकाल के ले जाएंगे। बस वही
May I request Dr. Adis Agrawala, President SCBA, Mr. Sukumar Padjoshi, Vice President SCBA, to kindly escort Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Supreme Court of India, Mr. R. Venkat Ramani, London Attorney General for India, to the dais.
बोल देना, वही बताएंगे।
दे देना अपना। May I request Mr. Chanchal Kumar Ganguly to present a sapling to Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India. May I request Mr. Amren Kumar Singh to present a sapling to Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Supreme Court of India. May I request Mr. Bibhu Shankar Misra to present a sapling to Mr. R. Venkat Ramani, London Attorney General for India. May I request Mr. Vikas Gupta to present a sapling to Mrs. Rupam Srivastava, wife of Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Supreme Court of India. यहाँ से ले लो. May I request Mr. Upendra Misra to present a sapling to Mr. Tushar Mehta, London Solicitor General of India. Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Supreme Court of India, family members of the Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, his wife Mrs. Rupam Srivastava, his son Mr. Anurag, Mr. Anuj, daughter-in-law Mrs. Vandana, brother Hari Prasad Srivastava, and his wife Sunita Srivastava, other honorable judges of Supreme Court of India, Honorable Mr. Justice Vineet Saran, Honorable Mr. Justice Ashok Bhushan, retired judges of Supreme Court of India, other honorable judges of High Courts, Mr. R. Venkat Ramani, London Attorney General of India, Mr. Adis Agrawal, President SCBA, Mr. Sukumar Padjoshi, Vice President SCBA, Mr. Tushar Mehta, London Solicitor General of India, London Law Officers, Mr. Manan Kumar Misra, Chairman, Bar Council of India, Mr. Apur Sharma, Executive Chairman, Bar Council of India, Mr. Manoj Misra, President SCORA, Mr. Sanasis Mukherjee, Vice President Skora, Mr. Devbrat, Secretary Skora, Mr. Latul Kurhekar, Learned Secretary General, Supreme Court of India, other registrars, senior members and members of the bar. Very good evening to all of you. Today we are here to bid farewell to Honorable Justice Mr. Krishna Murari, the Supreme Court of India. He hails from Allahabad, has attained his Bachelor's of Law from Allahabad University. Justice Murari was enrolled as an advocate in the year 1981 before being called to the bench. Justice Murari was known his practice involving civil, constitution, company and revenue matters. During his tenure at the bar, Justice Murari was widely renowned for his excellent draft skills. Justice Murari started his career in the office of Mr. G.N. Burma, whom he considers to be Guru. He was elevated as an additional judge of Allahabad High Court in January 2004, took oath as a permanent judge in August 2005. Later, he was elevated as a Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court on 2nd of June 2018. He was elevated as a judge of Supreme Court of India on 23rd of September 2019. Justice Murari has authored more than 60 judgments and has been part of more than 293 benches, some of the famous notable cases which has been dealt by Justice Murari. Subhash Desai versus Principal Secretary, Governor of Maharashtra cases, popularly known as the Maharashtra political crisis case. Government of NCT of Delhi versus Union of India, popular case regarding Delhi government's power over the administrative service in the National Capital Territory of Delhi. Ramesh Chand Sharma versus State of UP, Pramod Singla versus Union of India, Ritu Chhabria versus Union of India, and Ram and others Union of India, Deepak Yadav versus State of UP, and many such cases. With this, now may I request Mr. Sukumar Parjoshi, Vice President of SCBA, to kindly give his welcome address.
Honorable Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice Krishna Murari, in whose honor we all are present here, the Honorable Judges of this court, former and present, sitting, Learned Attorney General, Learned Solicitor General, law officers, members of the registry, family members of Justice Krishna Murari, my colleagues, Advocate Senior and all other advocates, ladies and gentlemen, members from the press who are present here. On behalf of the Executive Committee of Supreme Court Bar Association, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to all those who are present to bid farewell to our illustrious and exemplary Judge, Justice Krishna Murari. I also extend a welcome to you on the reopening week of the Supreme Court, and we saw some welcome changes. So we only want to acknowledge your leadership, Justice Chandrachud. You have equipped the Supreme Court partly now with Wi-Fi, and also the upgraded technology and video conferencing facility is a treat. I hope it will be replicated all over. Sir, Justice Krishna Murari, in the capacity of Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, was much concerned about upgradation of and digitization of courts for two purposes: to enabling the greater accessibility to justice to the litigants and to reduce the burden on the regular courts. In fact, the first court he set up, first virtual court was set up under his leadership in Faridabad during that time. Sir, probably you would have felt very proud to see this last week that the changes in the Supreme Court with Wi-Fi everywhere and the upgraded screens and video conferencing facility in courtroom 1 now, which will go to all other courts. Sir has over the course of his distinguished career, Justice Krishna Murari has held various positions of esteem and responsibility. In fact, each phase of life can be an inspiration, and one can draw an inspiration from every part of his life. He comes from a family of, in fact, not from a lawyer's family, and he has come here. He has put in about 22 years as a lawyer and was proficient in almost all fields of law and had earned a reputation of an expert in the fields of revenue, civil, and service litigation. As a judge, Sir was prominent when he joined the Allahabad High Court as a judge in 2004. Thereafter, in 2018, took over as the Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, where he was so popular, and in fact, he had a commitment to reduce the wastage of paper in the courts. So he introduced several reforms. And in fact, sir, today in the morning in the ceremonial bench, you should have been very happy to see a paperless court. Sir, Honorable Justice Krishna Murari ji has been a very calm, patient, and a decisive judge who has become a beacon of hope for the junior members of the bar and those who are underrepresented. Sir, we thank you for your contribution, and sir, wish you a very happy and healthy retired life. Thank you all.
May I request Mr. R. Venkatramani, the Attorney General for India, to kindly deliver his address.
Well, all of us can log into a Google and then find out what is what about every one of us. But there is a certain amount of warmth we try to bring in and share the same, which you can see on the net, by trying to elevate the way we try to communicate our feelings, our understanding, and our relationship with the honorable judges. And that's what I think we endeavor to do by being here together. And the warmth we try to convey to the honorable judge. And I'm never tired of saying that no judge ever who comes to the court ever leaves. And you never leave, and you leave without leaving, because you become an indelible part of the fabric of justice administration. And so I am deeply honored to be here today to share my warm feelings to Justice Krishna Murari on behalf of the members of the bar, that we cherish the wonderful time we have given to us. And every judge who becomes a judge is a renunciate. You renounce a lot of things in life. And you give up so many wonderful things which we would like to have as other citizens of life. And for the very act of renunciation, I think the members of the bar should be beholden to those who adorn the positions of judges, and you are one among them. Now, probably this is not the time to talk about jurisprudence of every judgment which the judge has, shared with us by application of one's mind on matters of concern and importance. And as every day unveils in the Supreme Court, with people thronging the doors and knocking the doors of the court with their own big or small matters of importance for them. I think every honorable judge endeavors to press into service the deepest recesses of their mind and to be able to be in the service of the nation. Therefore, at this point of time, every day I look at what the court is doing, and every honorable judge is endeavoring to be part of this great commitment to the nation, to his cause of administration of justice. And therefore, I think on behalf of the bar, I should thank you once again. I just want to pick up a few subjects which have flown from Justice Krishna Murari's judgments. And one I mentioned about in the morning in the sitting before the Honorable Chief Justice. Now, the difference between a man-made product and a machine-made product is very subtle. When a handmade product or a man-made product, there's a lot of flexibility, creativity involved in it, unlike a machine-made product, which is mechanical repetition. There are very often circumstances when judges are called upon to be doing man-made products and not machine-made products. And So one important judgment I've seen, and it occupies my mind, as a person from a marginalized section of the community suffers an accident and the motor vehicle tribunal gives some compensation. And the honorable judge finds that, look here, we often in torts we talk about economic loss. He says not merely is future the loss of earnings which one would encounter, but you must look at the prospects, or future prospects of what one can do. These are infinite in a way that one can make one life better and then make it more plentiful. So look at the future prospects. I find the judgment looks at it and says how persons from marginalized community suffers further discrimination because of disability they suffer. This is a man-made product and not a machine-made product. And I think we need more of such man-made products, and I think I indeed respect this very important contribution, which is Krishna Murari is a part of that. And of course, sometimes even during the, before a judge leaves the bench, one's own judgments get into other critical scan. But that notwithstanding, we have a problem today of criminal investigations blocking an ordinary common men and women getting their bail in time. And if multiple charge sheets are filed over a period of time and defeating the well-meant provisions of the CRPC, then what do we do? So a default bail is something which occupies the mind of the court over a long period. And repeated charge sheets, regardless of the impact that may have on a default bail being obtained in good point of time, the honorable judge, as part of a bench, where they said this repeated charge sheets is not a welcome process, and therefore we must be seriously looking at that. I think we need more of such very important insights in criminal law. And these are two important areas where people who suffer disabilities and people who are victims of criminal law. And I think I, once again, respect the very important contribution. And finally, I think there was a remark made in one of the judgments, particularly in the motor vehicles tribunal's compensation issue. The honorable judge, sitting with another honorable judge, talked about the importance of setting a motor vehicles appellate tribunal. The government is very seriously looking into many of these issues. Particularly, I keep hearing about Chief Justice talking on litigation management, and honorable judges talk about it every day. And I want to convey this to the members of the bar and the honorable judges here, that the government is being pushed very seriously into a litigation management policy. And I'm sure with this kind of insights flowing in from various quarters, we'll be in a comfortable position to take it forward. And I wish Justice Krishna Murari a great life ahead after retirement, and I'm sure he will be available with us for other kind of participations and encounters. Thank you so much, sir.
May I request Dr. Adis Agrawala, President SCBA, to kindly deliver his address.
Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, and other honorable judges of the Supreme Court, including retired judges, Mr. Justice Ashok Bhushan and Mr. Justice Vineet Sharan, learned R. Venkataramani, Attorney General for India, learned Sri Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General for India, Additional Solicitor Generals for India, office bearers of Supreme Court Bar Association and SCORA, the family members of Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, media persons, ladies and gentlemen. Only a month back, we said goodbye to 3 distinguished judges of the Honorable Supreme Court. And now the occasion has come to bid farewell to another. Eminent Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, who demits office after a remarkable and fulfilling career. Mr. Justice Krishna Murari has delivered numerous judgments in various jurisdictions which have immensely contributed towards the growth of the procedural and substantial law. For example, in the Velumani case, he underlined the need for fairness and access to documents, brushing aside flimsy claims of privilege seeking documents to be kept in a sealed cover. In the Deepak Yadav case, His Lordship laid down that parity cannot be sole ground to grant bail. The contribution of Honorable Mr. Justice Murari in the field of criminal law has been particularly notable. Mr. Justice Krishna Murari has battled for making legal processes accessible to the underprivileged. What stands out with Mr. Justice Murari is that he is never swayed by views of the media or public perception. His decisions are based on the law and the Constitution and are influenced only by his conscience. Mr. Justice Murari will be remembered for his excellence as a judge of the Apex Court. With his hard work and humility, he has not only made his family proud, but has set a fine example for other judges to follow. I extend my best wishes to Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari and his family members. Jai Hind.
We all know that the Honorable Chief Justice of India had also been a Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court, where Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari has practiced as an advocate and served as a judge, which is one of the biggest and oldest high court of this country. Sir, you know the Allahabad bar minutely. It is one of the toughest bar. You have handled it very well and striking a balance between bar and bench. Your Lordship, lawyers in Uttar Pradesh appreciate you even today. And it is always great to hear from you about those days. Now may I request Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, to kindly deliver his address.
Brother Justice Krishna Murari, family members and friends of Brother Krishna Murari, my sister and brother judges, former judges of the Supreme Court who have graciously remained present here, including Brother Justice Ashok Bhushan and Justice Vineet Saran, Mr. R. Venkatramani, Learned Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General, Dr. Adish Agarwala, President of Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Sukumar Patajoshi, Vice President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, Shri Rohit Pandey, Honorary Secretary, Office Bearers of SCBA and SCORA, members of the Bar, officers of the Registry, ladies and gentlemen. Brother Krishna Murari, I will not say that you are retiring today, because you never retire when you are in the legal profession. The legal profession is a way of life where you learn with every case, every client, every fact, and every law. And even today, when we were in the ceremonial bench and we had just 7 transfer petitions, typically the idea is not to stress the retiring judge on the last day. I noticed that Justice Krishna Murari made a suggestion in a small order which I dictated, which reminded me that there had been missing something even while passing those small orders and transfer petitions. So there's something which we learn every day of your life from each other and from the experience of our colleagues. For many of the members of the bar who may not be aware, Justice Krishna Murari hails from Ayodhya, earlier the district of Faizabad. His early schooling, right up to class 6, was from Ayodhya. From class 7 to 12, he studied at the famous Christ Church College at Kanpur. And it is because of this that he speaks fluently in a Kanpuriya dialect with which we are all acquainted, having watched the anecdotes and Kanpuriya jokes. But his father was working with the state of Uttar Pradesh in the paramedical services and retired as superintendent of the Ursula Hospital at Kanpur. Brother Krishna Murari's mother was very affectionate, warm and hospitable. She was very highly educated, but chose to be a homemaker. As for him, after graduating from the Lucknow University, Brother Krishna Murari moved to Prayagraj to study law at the Allahabad University. During that time, Allahabad University routinely had dozens of its students getting into the higher echelons of the Indian bureaucracy. Allahabad University was then highly regarded and prized. During those days, a single hostel of Allahabad University would have a half a dozen candidates within the top 100 ranks. Such was the contribution to the Indian civil service and IAS later on. Justice Krishna Murari joined the faculty of law at the Allahabad University because he also wanted to become a civil servant. He once said that in the initial months after joining the university, he was completely disinterested in law. But one day he went to the Allahabad High Court to observe the court proceedings and found them interesting. In that moment, he knew that he wanted to become a lawyer. After joining the bar in 1981, Brother Krishna Murari started legal practice in the Allahabad High Court. Brother Murari often credits his success to his mentor, Sri Gyanendra Nath Verma, who was a leading lawyer on the civil, constitutional and revenue side at the Allahabad High Court. He was also his maternal uncle, a senior counsel, and a legendary figure on the revenue side of the Allahabad High Court and the revenue courts of the state of Uttar Pradesh. This accidental sidestep which Brother Murari took proved to be the judiciary's gain eventually. Mr. G.N. Verma was known to take the entire family for well-known trips to London. However, Brother Krishna Murari was never included in these sojourns, since the work of the entire chamber was left in his hands. Justice Krishna Murari was a chamber colleague of Justice Ashok Bhushan and part of what has now become known in Allahabad as the famous foursome: Ashok Khare, Shashi Nandan, Justice Ashok Bhushan and Justice Krishna Murari. All from renowned legal families, Krishna Murari and Ashok Bhushan accepted the call of office, while the other two remained respected senior counsel of the Allahabad High Court. Like his mentor, Brother Krishna Murari was known for his practice in civil, constitutional, company, service and revenue matters. After a successful practice spanning 3 decades, he was appointed as a judge of the Allahabad High Court in 2004, a position in which he served for more than 14 years. For all intents and purposes, the Allahabad High Court is his karma bhumi. Later, he also served as the Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court before being elevated to the Supreme Court in 2019. My own association as a colleague with Brother Krishna Murari traces back to October 2013 when I took over as Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court. He was always very calm, with a perfect demeanor for a judge. And he shared with me yesterday something which is not probably a secret to all of you. And he said that I have never lost my temper with a member of a bar or a litigant in person throughout my judicial career, even once. At the Supreme Court, Brother Murari brought with him the valuable experience and judicial skills that he gained while serving as a judge of the Allahabad High Court in Punjab and Haryana High Court. He conducted his court with a great sense of equanimity and humility. He treated juniors and seniors alike without differentiating between them, which is reflected in what was said in the ceremonial bench today by many junior members of the bar. As a judge of the Supreme Court, he contributed to many areas of law, including service law, criminal law, family law, and constitutional principles. During his tenure, he was a part of many important cases, including the Constitution Bench cases in the NCT of Delhi and the Maharashtra constitutional matter, during the constitutional bench hearings, we decided that the court proceedings will be conducted in a paperless fashion. Even though Brother Krishna Murari was initially not conversant with using an iPad and laptop, I must compliment him because he learned how to use it quickly with the able assistance of his staff and judicial clerks, and also supplemented in good measure by Brother Justice Narasimha, who sat next to him. It was primarily because of the cooperation of Brother Krishna Murari and my other brother and sister judges that we were able to conclude the proceedings in a completely paperless manner, even pressurizing the Solicitor General and the lawyers who were appearing on the other side to ensure that they have no paper in their hands. As his colleagues, we have benefited from his wisdom and experience. He always made it a point to work amicably and courteously with his colleagues to arrive at a just resolution of cases. Brother Murari has always treated people, be it his juniors, court staff, or judicial clerks, with kindness. All his law clerks and interns were there this morning in the ceremonial bench and later on joined us for a cup of tea together with his family in the lounge. All his life, he has been an humble craftsman who has dedicated his life to law and to those affected by law. In more than one way, this is an event to honor more than 4 decades of Brother Murari's career of public service. But today I am reminded of the following lines by poet Bashir Badr. मुसाफिर हैं हम, मुसाफिर हो तुम भी, किसी मोड़ पर फिर मुलाकात होगी. या थोड़ा सा मैं बदलाव भी ला सकता हूँ आखिरी पंक्ति में और ये कह सकता हूँ, मोड़ मोड़ पर मुलाकात होगी आपसे. Brother Murari, I wish you all health and happiness, and especially to your gracious spouse who has sacrificed a lot in order that your career should be where it is. I would also like to thank and congratulate your family, friends, staff, and law clerks. And finally, one more thought. आपके साथ कुछ लम्हे, कई यादें बतौर इनाम मिले. आपके साथ कुछ लम्हे, कई यादें बतौर इनाम मिले. एक सफ़र पर निकले और तजुर्बे तमाम मिले. धन्यवाद. नमस्कार.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. सर, आँखों से दूर सही, आँखों से दूर सही, दिल से कहाँ जाएंगे. कृष्ण मुरारी सर, आप बहुत याद आएंगे. कृष्ण मुरारी सर, you are a pure Allahabadi, and Allahabad city is a famous for the Sangam and the Allahabad High Court, where you have practiced as an advocate and served as a judge. The Allahabad High Court has a history of raising many big names in legal fraternity, and you are one of them. I must also tell you about friendship of 3 lawyers who were elevated to the Allahabad High Court and later got elevated to the Honorable Supreme Court of India and established an example of friendship. The friendship of 3 judges, Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Vikram Nath, Justice Vineet Saran. This friendship for trio was very famous in Allahabad High Court. आप तीनों की जोड़ी, आप तीनों की तिगड़ी has proved itself and served the nation as successful judges, delivering justice to the nation. With this, now may I request Honorable Justice Krishna Murari, Justice Supreme Court of India, to deliver his address.
Namaskar. Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, my esteemed sister and brother judges, Mr. R. Venkat Ramani, Learned Solicitor General of India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General of India, Mr. Adish Agarwala, President, Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Sukumar Joshi, Vice President, Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Rohit Pandey, Secretary, Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Manoj Mishra, President, SCORA, members of the Executive of the Supreme Court Bar Association and the SCORA, Learned Secretary General, members of the Registry, learned senior advocates, and my dear friends at the bar. I'm truly blessed by Almighty to hear such kind words spoken about me by all of you. Thank you so much for that. Today is a very emotional day for me as I bid heartfelt farewell to this great institution of which I have been a part for almost 4 decades. I wouldn't say that my tenure has come to an end, or rather it would be more appropriate to say that I'm stepping out of one phase of life to step into another. A phase so cherished by service to this esteemed institution and by the treasured memories of all these years that it feels heavy to say goodbye to this place and to all of you from whom I have received so much love and affection. But since all temporal things in the world will have to come to an end, so has my tenure. After a tenure of little short of 4 years in this great institution, in this august court, 15 years in my parent High Court, that is Allahabad High Court, and then as a Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, and prior to that, 23 years at the bar at Allahabad. Today, when I look back, it seems as if it were yesterday I had taken oath as a judge of this court, and that time to bid goodbye has arrived so early. Although everyone knows the date of his retirement on the very day of his appointment, but then an Urdu couplet would reflect my feelings better. कदम उठे भी नहीं और सफ़र तमाम हुआ, गज़ब है राह का इतना भी मुस्तकर होना. A day like today is both significant as well as very strange. Significant because demitting office is a very solemn moment in one's life. And strange because in a tick of clock, I would no longer be a part of this great institution which I was serving until the clock ticked. That being said, today is a day of thanksgiving and to share my feelings and emotions with all of you. I would first of all pay my most sincere gratitude to the Almighty for the countless blessings He has showered upon me. I would pay my most sincere thanks and tribute to the immortal memory of my Guru, my mentor, late Mr. Gyanendra Nath Verma, who was fondly called in my parent High Court as Verma Sahib. It was he on whose advice I took up the study of law. Verma Sahib was a very interesting person. As Brother Ashok Bhushan would endorse, he was a successful lawyer and had enjoyed great respect by the members of the bar and society. Despite having all the resources, however, while he also truly enjoying his life to the fullest, he had an incredible passion to serve those in need. I remember he would never refuse a brief from the marginalized sections of the society and would decline to appear in matters worth lots of money if it came in the way of fighting for a cause. While Verma Sahib's lifestyle and the respect enjoyed by him in the society did play a role in my taking up law, what further inspired me most was the idea that my daily job would help touch the lives of so many. During my law college days, I would sit with the office clerk in the Verma Sahib's office and would correct his drafts. While the correction were only grammatical, by virtue of reading his draft daily, however, I was able to learn and know more about drafting better than those who focused only on the college. Even after my law graduation, I worked in his chambers as a junior for some years before setting up my independent practice. I learnt a lot from him and owe my success in this profession to him and him only. I have always tried to emulate his values in my life and my work, although I do not know if I have been able to successfully do so or not. Life is always a great learning experience. In this, though there are many instances in my mind, but I'll share in this context 2 of the instances with all of you. One is of the days when I was a young lawyer, one of the great judges of this country, late Justice R.M. Sahai, who also adorned the bench of this court, during casual conversation once told me that when a lawyer stands to argue his case before a judge, he is like a bloated balloon, full of conviction and belief in his case. Now, what happens if you prick a bloated balloon? It blasts, making a lot of noise. However, if you just loosen the nozzle, the air blows out and it settles down quietly. He actually meant to convey the message to me that just allow the lawyer to argue for a short while and all the air blows out and he settles quietly. However, stopping him would amount to pricking a bloated balloon and cause an explosion with a lot of noise. I remembered this even after my elevation, and probably this could be the reason why throughout my career as a judge, spanning for almost 19.5 years, I never had any tiff with even the most persuasive and toughest of the lawyers, even at the Allahabad High Court and even in this court or at Chandigarh. Another incident occurred recently, a glimpse of which was given by my Lord Honorable the Chief Justice about the Constitution bench, which goes on to show that learning is a lifelong process. When I was made to sit in the Constitution bench, headed by Honorable the Chief Justice, on the very first day, he all of a sudden made an announcement at the beginning of the hearing that this court would be a paperless court, a green bench, with all the files uploaded on iPad. Sitting next to him, I whispered in his ears that I don't know anything about the computer operation, and how would I be of any assistance to you? He shot back, I'll make you learn. You just sit down, keep sitting. And of course, that day the procedure was set, nothing material happened. Then he sent the members of the registry, the experts, who for 2 days gave me some training. The bench assembled quite a few days thereafter. By that time, I had forgotten what they had taught me. So the first day was very embarrassing. The entire file was uploaded before me, the iPad was before me, and I was not able to operate it. Then Brother Narasimha came to my rescue, who was sitting next to me. He probably guessed or judged my difficulty, and he tilted his iPad towards me. And first day I could do nothing except trying to read from his iPad. But it was very embarrassing for me. That very evening I called all my law clerks and asked them to guide me to how to use the iPad. And I made them do it unless I was confident that I can do it. 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. But then, yes, thereafter, I don't say that I have become an expert, but I could carry on with both the Constitution benches. Even though my sons and daughter-in-law still tell me that I haven't learned anything about operating the computers, but I have the confidence that whatever I learned today during those days, and I was able to navigate through the digital file with some ease, I'll be able to do it to that extent in future also. I really thank Honorable Mr. Justice, my Chief Justice, Honorable Mr. Dr. Justice Chanchud, for giving me this opportunity and making me learn the computer operation, without which probably it is difficult to work these days. Now, something I would say to the younger members of the bar, who may be finding this funny because they are so apt to the technology. But I challenge them to physically navigate through thousands of pages while trying to convince the judge the old-fashioned way we did. You will find it very, very difficult. Here I would express my thanks to all my well-wishers, friends and colleagues, some of whom have traveled with me for many years in this journey, and also present here in this hall. I am lucky to have Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchud as my Chief Justice twice. It's something rare. Once at Allahabad and now here as Chief Justice of India. He has always been very considerate, and I thank him from the core of my heart for his magnanimity, not only towards me, but also towards all the brother and sister judges. Further, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the learned members of the bar, old and young, senior and junior, for their unwavering support and assistance in discharge of my official duties. I am truly grateful for your company, friends, and I step into the next phase of life, taking comfort in the fact that your friendship and good wishes will always remain with me. I have said in the past, and I repeat it here, that this court is guardian and custodian of not only the constitutional provisions per se, but also of the constitutional ideals and values that our forefathers had fought for, and which form the very core and spirit of our constitution and our great civilization. However, I would like to add a point to it. This court is not only a protector of multicultural ethos and diversity of our great country, rather it is in itself an embodiment of this multicultural and diverse civilization. That is to say, this court consists of people from across various geographical regions, languages, religion, caste, creed, all working towards the cause of justice. And this plurality, I must say, represents the true essence of our great country. When we are at the High Court, members of both the bar and bench are well versed with each other, as they usually belong to the same place, same state, and have been working together in the same place for years. But in a diversified place like the Supreme Court, judges and lawyers from different parts of the country are working together. While that being the case, I have found this court to be a happy and familiar place, and not for one day I have felt unfamiliar or alien to this place. I also feel it important to use this forum to address the senior members of the bar. I urge all of you to give ample opportunities to your juniors and to take personal interest in their development. One may have a good knowledge of law, but one can only be a good lawyer when they are able to showcase their abilities. And the stage for this is the court and court alone. Therefore, it is of utmost importance for young lawyers to argue before the court, and they should remain assured that they shall be heard patiently. In my court, I always encourage the younger members of the bar to argue. If sometimes the senior was unavailable for some reason, and the case was called out and the juniors would request for a passover, I would urge the junior to argue the case themselves. I always told them that you start the arguments, if the result is going to be in your favor, you get the credit. And if it is to be dismissed, then I'll call you a senior. And that discredit will go to him. I seriously request all the senior members of the bar to take care of the juniors, pay them well, and support them in their career. And my best wishes are with all the young lawyers. I would also like to say that if our Constitution is the arch on which the edifice of our great nation rests, then the Supreme Court is the keystone holding this constitutional arch in place. To quote Shakespeare, all the world's a stage, and all the men are women, and women merely players, unquote. And therefore, we are all players who will come and go, but this great institution, that is the Supreme Court, must and shall continue to function. With the best of my intentions, I have carried out my duty with gratitude to this great institution, which has provided me with immense opportunity and happiness. And it was truly an honor for me to be of some service to this country and to this institution. The end of my tenure just marks the end of my constitutional assignment. However, I shall fulfill the constitutional vows till my last breath. My journey has so far been made possible due to innumerable sacrifices made by my parents. I am truly blessed to be their son, and I am eternally grateful for all they have done for me, and I am sure wherever they are in the highest abode, they must be satisfied. It's commonly said that behind every successful man, there is a woman. However, I must say that in my case, my wife Rupam has not stood behind me, but always by my side, through thick and thin, ups and downs of life, and has been my equal partner in all my struggles and successes. I am also blessed with two loving sons who continue to cheer my life. We always used to feel a void in our life for the lack of having a daughter. But that also stands fulfilled with the entry of my daughter-in-law Vandana in the family. My brother Hari and his wife Sunita are also present here. He's my younger brother. I don't claim to be like Ram, but for sure my brother is Lakshman for me. And Sunita, I can say she is the Fabicol who has kept my family bonded together. The life of judge is, because of the heavy pressure of work, is slightly difficult, and it requires a great sacrifice from the family. Even through this journey of sacrifice, however my family has supported me in whole, I would like this opportunity to thank them all for what they have done for me. I would also like to thank my staff, my law clerks, and my law interns. Their support in the background often goes unnoticed, because it is because of their support we, the judges, are able to function smoothly and without much stress. Once again, I thank you all for the love and affection that I have received during these years, and with a heavy heart say goodbye to all of you. I end with this couplet of Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, which will reflect my sentiments and emotions. दरो दीवार पे हसरत से नज़र करते हैं, खुश रहो अहले वतन, हम तो सफ़र करते हैं. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Your words have always guided us. Your doors were always open for the members of the bar. Sir, whenever members of the executive committee and other lawyers have approached you, you have been cooperative and guided them accordingly. Sir, we will be always thankful for your gestures towards the bar. May I request Ms. Yugandhara Pawar Jha, Treasurer SCBA, to read out the message given by Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Judge Supreme Court of India.
Thank you, Rohit. The message is as follows. The Indian judiciary which finds its roots on the principles of rule of law and access to justice, rests on two pillars, which is the bar and the bench. The second pillar, which is the bar, rests on the backs of the young and passionate lawyers with a vision to uphold the principles of justice. It brings me immense joy to see a large number of young lawyers practicing in the Supreme Court. The practice of law is a noble profession, and it requires a great amount of sacrifice, dedication, and honesty. I urge all the junior lawyers of the bar to take up as many pro bono cases as possible and discharge their duties with utmost honesty and sincerity. I also urge all the senior members of the bar to give ample opportunity to these young budding lawyers to argue in court, for there is no better learning than through baptism by fire. The Supreme Court Bar Association has always been at the forefront in upholding the rule of law and has always ensured that young lawyers never feel fish out of water in the Supreme Court, especially in the cases where these young lawyers come from all across the country in hopes of establishing their practice. It brings me great pleasure to acknowledge the excellent work done by the Supreme Court Bar Association, and I wish them best of luck in their future endeavors. Thank you.
May I request Dr. Adish Agarwala, President SCBA, Mr. Sukumar Parjoshi, Vice President SCBA, and senior members of the Executive Committee to present a memento on behalf of the Bar to Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari. May I request Mr. Minesh Dubey, Joint Secretary SCBA, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Rohit Pandey. We are grateful to Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Judge Supreme Court of India, for accepting our invitation. Madam Mrs. Rupam Srivastava, wife of Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Judge Supreme Court of India, and other family members for accepting our invitation for gracing this occasion. We are extremely grateful to Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchur, Chief Justice of India, for accepting our invitation to preside over this function. I wish Honorable Mr. Justice Krishna Murari, Judge Supreme Court of India, a very happy, healthy, and enjoyable life ahead. I thank Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Retired Judges of Supreme Court of India, Honorable Justice Ashok Bhushan, Chairman NCLT, Honorable Justice Binish Saran, Retired Judge of the Supreme Court of India, and Honorable Judges of High Court of Delhi High Courts for gracing this occasion. I thank Learned Attorney General for India, Learned Solicitor General of India, and law officers, senior advocates, senior members of the bar. I also thank Mr. Manoj Misra, President ISKCORA, Mr. Isneshish Mukherjee, Vice President ISKCORA, and Devvrat, Secretary ISKCORA, and other office bearers for gracing this occasion. I also thank Learned Secretary General Mr. Atul Korekar and Learned Registrar of the Supreme Court of India, press, journalists, print, and electronic media persons, office bearers of the members of the Executive Committee and different bar associations, including AOR Association, other distinguished guests, and respected members of the bar for gracing this occasion. I now request all of you to kindly join us for high tea. Jai Hind. Kindly join us for the photograph. बोल दो फिर से.
Kindly join us for high tea on the first floor.
Ground floor.